up, folks? Welcome back. It's the Monday Super Show. And no, Taylor did not turn into a shapeshifter over the weekend. We have Phil this morning for our first topic today because Phil has thoughts. We're going to get to that in a second. Remember, for the live event calendar, go to gamersheavenpnw.com. We are constantly adding new things. You can go to the merch store there. Go look at the live event calendar because if you haven't been there lately, it's changed. It looks a lot different, and I think it looks really great, don't you?
It's purdy.
It's purdy now. You can also go to a pinboard version and you get a nice visual outlay of everything that's going on in the near future. Yeah, we figured we might have been slow this weekend, partially because y'all were out there playing the new Zelda, right? So I was like, oh, yeah, people out there playing the new Zelda.
So many things shaped like ding-dongs flying around TikTok
because of Zelda. Somebody already speed ran Zelda in an hour and 34 minutes. So Tears of the Kingdom was beaten in an hour and 34 minutes. They did it on launch day. On launch day, they beat it in an hour and 34 minutes. Not a thing. Thank you, Luna, for calling us old farts. We love you too. So we had a great event for Soba this last weekend. Thank you to everybody from Soba who came out and hung out in the space and drank some boba and ate some food. We really love having that team out here. It was a cool event. So, but the other big thing that happened this weekend, and this will be topic number 1 for today, March of the Machines Aftermath came out on Friday. Phil, what was your initial impressions of the new product that we brought in on Friday?
It was Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, wait, no, it was Aftermath. No, I'm sorry. It was garbage.
Welcome to Phil's hot garbage segment because Phil is upset.
I made this in 5 minutes, and you'll notice that it is the same card. Harness Snubhorn. Harness Snubhorn. Harness Snubhorn. Wait, oh, I dropped some more of them on the floor. Harness Snubhorn. What are you doing, Watsy? Yeah.
What's interesting is we had somebody in who used to work at Wizards, and they asked me Saturday night. They were like, "Hey, how's March of the Machines Aftermath going?" I'm like, "It's a dumpster fire. This is, and we've now been open. Don't do Yu-Gi-Oh like that."
No, Yu-Gi-Oh's actually doing a damn better job. Way better job. You know how I know? They're doing an entire reprint of the series for their 25th anniversary, unlike the Magic 30th anniversary hot garbage. So Magic 30th anniversary, proxy.
Can't use it in tournament.
Can't use it at all. You know what Yu-Gi-Oh's doing with the 25th anniversary print? They're reprinting everything except for one card, and that one card is going to stay on the ban list. I don't remember what it is, so don't ask. Come ask the Yu-Gi-Oh players on Wednesday. And then everything is back into legal play after the last booster box drops. Everything. All the Yu-Gi-Oh players right now are like,
here's the thing. We've been through many launches because Magic is still on this release of something every month. Literally, every month they're releasing something. Now, what they've been doing is they've been going major full set release, mini release. Major full set release, mini release. This is a mini release month. So they released March of the Machines Aftermath. And obviously, enough of y'all watched our YouTube video on the leak of the March of the Machine Aftermath and the possible boycotts in May that it was bad. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you are going to release a Yu-Gi-Oh set, right? If you are going to cut the price, cut the amount of cards that you get in a set booster box in half, do you know what the logical thing would be to do?
charge less money?
Cut the price in half. They're charging less money. It's half the cards for only 30% less in price. And here's the thing. This was my favorite, was talking with Calvin this weekend. He was like, technically, and y'all who know Calvin know, he was doing this very tongue-in-cheek. There's 232 cards. Because like Phil just pointed out, what was the one that you had? Harness Snubble?
It's Harness Snubhorn.
It's Harness Snubhorn. There's probably 6 variations of that.
There's 4 variations of every card in this set. Technically, there's like 50 cards, but no, there's 230 cards.
Because there's all these different variations.
And one reprint, and I want to say it was
Halo foil and regular foil.
Training Field was a reprint. But everything else was new. Now, some of it was cool. Like all the Planeswalkers that lost their spark at the end of the March of the Machines, yes, they now have a new character card. I wanted Karn for my colorless artifact deck. Now I have a Karn. Obnixilis, I've been wanting to build a demon deck, and he's got some interesting mechanics where if your opponent takes exactly 1 damage, Obnixilis gets a +1/1 for every time a 1 damage happens to an opponent. So cool, you can just make him into a giant beat stick. But really? For that price? 5 cards in a pack? Like, I really do think they're trying to pull a Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they know that, so like for instance, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players will buy a box, keep 4 cards, and throw the rest of it away. Because there's only 4 cards in an entire box that's actually worth playing. And I think Magic is testing the waters to see if they can get away with that and change the model.
I don't know how any of the other stores of sales for March of the Machines is. Prior to this, New Capenna was our worst released set. How bad this set was as far as what we were required to buy and what we actually sold, this is the worst release we've had under Wizards since we opened the store.
Our distributors advise us to cut our orders in half and then cut our order in half again.
Okay.
Our distributors.
We were looking at pricing when the sets came in on Friday. I was here with Calvin and we were pricing the sets and we were doing stuff. Obviously, we have rent to pay and employees to pay and things like that, which made it extra frustrating because I was seeing set booster boxes go for 5 cents less per box
than we paid for
it. Right? Which, by the way, goes back to how this whole leak happened in the first place, is that Wizards, you have not enforced your distribution channels at all, okay? At all. Which means all these online resellers and all these fools have it, and literally, like, it just toasts everything.
But remember, they have a sign on the front of their building. That's all you need. See how much that hurt him?
It hurts me every day.
Right. Show me on the doll.
If you are going to do 5-card packs, you cannot charge as much as you were charging. You just can't. Okay? Yeah. Not for Magic. And here's the thing. It feels right, and they're trying to
Collector boosters? Collector boosters a pack for me to make anything. I had to sell them for $18, and there's 6 cards in there. And each card was not worth at least $3. I guarantee it.
Yeah, now we can have the most expensive draft TM with non-legacy cards, only 9 packs. Yeah, we're gonna do some stuff. There's a couple of neat cards in there. We're gonna do some stuff to
I'm gonna start treating them like OTS packs. So for those of you who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, when you're certified by Konami, they send you 5-card packs that have chase cards in them that have a dollar value. Because when you
run $4.99
of $4.99, so when you run a Yu-Gi-Oh event, if you charge a fee to walk in the door, every player has to walk out with that much in price support.
In retail.
In retail value. So basically, March of the Machines is just going to start turning into prize support because this is the only way I'm going to get rid of it.
They would have been great F&M packs. And that's the thing, it reminds me, the promo packs that occasionally Wizards sends out to us to give away, like welcome boosters and stuff like that, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of OTS packs. It's like, what are you doing? As a retail product, I just, look, if the boxes were going, if they had sold us the boxes for literally half the price that we buy a normal set booster box for, I would probably be a little less upset because we'd be able to price them at a price point where it might make it worth it for the thing. But as a retail space, as a company that has employees to pay and things like that, and the fact that we're not just a online flipper, the fact of the matter is that when these sets go this sideways,
this is my concern about Commander Masters.
You know what you could have done? You could have released these as either promo packs or like a different type of weirdo booster with March of the Machines last month.
Yeah.
Right? And that would have made more sense.
Or say that it's prize support for March of the Machines. They give us a bunch of boxes of it like OTS packs. And I guarantee you with the chase, so some of those cards in there are chase cards. Obnixilis, Karn, Nissa. There are actually some really good cards in there. If they would have set it up as prize support and sent out a case of those, and I would put out on Event Link like, hey, come play March of the Machines draft. I have the Aftermath promo cards for people to try and battle for.
That'd be awesome.
They would have made way more money.
Yeah, because we would have had to stock more draft and more stuff that was going to, in the end, do them better stuff. That's why I'm frustrated.
Yeah, they need to. Remember when you and me and Harvey used to play Rifts, and then we'd come up with something, and then another Rifts book like a month later would have it, and we thought that Palladium was spying on us?
Yes.
Wizards spy on us.
No, I'm going to be
Please
surprised.
spy on us.
Chat says, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be very surprised if Wizards is going to be around after 5 years. Their player faith is absolutely dwindling in the last couple of years alone. They're not going to go out of business. Don't get me wrong. And we've talked about this, and you can go look at our YouTube channel, which you can find us at youtube.com/@gamersheaven PNW. And we've got a bunch of videos. We've been talking a lot about Magic lately. In fact, one of our best performing videos was about the thing. And again, we want to reiterate, we are not encouraging the boycott the same way because, again, that hurts game stores more than it hurts WotC.
Yeah.
Phil has to put the orders in on this months in advance. Phil had to put the original order in for Aftermath in January. Okay, before we ever know what's in the set and anything else, they send us the product list. And in this case, the product list that they send to Phil is, we will have set boosters and collector boosters.
And
that's
bundles.
And bundles. And that's all Phil knows. That's it. The only thing that was reasonably priced in the entire set was the bundles. They were $40, right?
They weren't worth $40. The spin down dice in there is pretty.
The spin down dice is pretty. It's got the box. It's got the cards. And I think it still comes with all the land.
A bunch of land. But
And it legit, like, it was cheaper than a standard bundle, right?
But only by a few bucks.
Yeah, 10, off what we normally sell them for. It just, come on, guys. Like, you can do better than this.
Well, like you said a couple of streams ago, they couldn't pump the brakes on anything for 2023 because, as I like to say, the chicken was already effed and you can't un-eff the chicken.
Yep. They've been planning these sets for 2 years.
So I think in 2024, if they know what's good for them, that they'll slow down.
And we haven't seen the 2024 releases yet, have we?
No, not at all. So I hope that they slow the hell down. Or for some reason Hasbro is just like, here's my foot, here's my shotgun. Like, what are you doing? Stop it.
Store Championship Commander event packs to see them at the end. That would have been good too. So yeah, there you go.
Pinkertons.
Yep. This has been an interesting thing. Again, we don't say this because we're like, we want Magic to fail. That's not what we want.
No, I don't want to file Chapter 11.
Yeah, we don't want Magic to fail. We want it to be a good product that is good value for the money that their customers are going to spend on the product. And right now, that's not the case. And that's, if you leave this with anything, make a good product for the value you're providing your customers. Full stop. Okay?
Okay, Kelsey. 100% on sending the Pinkertons over.
Yep.
Yeah, for how much of a
All right.
pile of crap. I'm worried about, like you said when we were outside, I'm kind of worried about Lord of the Rings release now. Like,
I'm concerned.
I have like 12 grand in pre-orders that I've put in.
I am really, really concerned about Lord of the Rings.
I put in another 10 grand in pre-orders for Commander Masters, and I already know that that's a dumpster fire waiting to happen.
I mean,
because it's $400 for a booster box. That's our cost on a booster box.
Yeah, we already went over it with the stream like a while ago.
What I did was I over-ordered boxes of Commander decks because I don't know about the rest of y'all. I'm lazy and cheap and poor, and I don't have the money to build me a Sliver deck and build me an Eldrazi deck, so I'm buying those. I'm just buying the whole case, right? So once we have our official numbers, I'm going to put pre-orders and sell the entire case of all 4 decks pre-order for $1 value once I have our numbers.
Yeah. We went over that. You can go look on our YouTube channel if you want the exact costing of Commander Masters. We went over that right after Phil Phil gave me the numbers.
Everybody in the room went, the fact?
And so you can look at our YouTube channel for that. So take a look at that. So that ends that topic for today. Let us know what you think.
And that's Phil's hot garbage.
Phil's hot garbage. All right. Now we're going to switch up, and we're going to bring in some Taylor. So give us a moment. Yay. Everybody thank Phil for joining us for hot garbage today. Hey, while we're waiting for Taylor to get herself just a smidgen set up, go ahead and drop your topics in the chat, in the comments. You can use channel points. We're going, so if there's anything you saw over the weekend that you would like us to talk about or you want to chat about with us, let us know. I'm going to help Taylor here real quick. What did Phil do?
Took off from the top.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't even know that one came out.
Success.
Success.
I hope. Oh, am I
Now
taking
Taylor
this?
needs the shield.
Is it time to duel?
Yes.
Duel. Yeah, I need
Played
some
movie
here.
game. That's not surprising, but yeah, we'll talk about that. Phil thinks and broke something. Phil did a great job this morning. Phil built this. Like, we all turned away from him for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And he was like,
made
look
this
what I
beautiful
built. And
thing.
everybody went, oh my God. It's amazing.
Yes. It's actually
so-
pretty cool. I don't think I've ever had a dual deck before, and I'm pretty sure I'm wearing it backwards.
I think you're wearing it right, but I'm not sure. But that's okay. You have a different, harnessed
I
snub
have
horns.
dinosaurs.
All the
They
same
are
card.
very cute. Yeah, it is all the same card.
Okay.
Look at this up on the wall, actually. Make sure people can see it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is neat. All right, folks. Hey, we got a
Some cards
YouTube
around
chat
here.
topic to their Gator Pete.
Ooh.
Um,
Oh, that's a good one, actually.
okay. We'll chat about that one too. All right. So, topic number 2 today for our pre-planned topics. You know we've been following the Activision deal very, very closely to see if this is actually going to happen.
Yes.
Last week, Bobby Kotick was like, I don't care. I don't care if this happens. Just, we're going to keep going. But in a turnaround from what the UK did, where the UK was like, no.
This is bad for online cloud gaming.
Right. The EU was like, yeah, no, you can do this. In fact, we think it's going to improve.
Online and cloud gaming.
We think it's going to increase competition.
Yeah, so we actually have some theories on why this is happening, but besides the theories,
Besides the fact we see the EU still a little salty about Brexit.
there's a little salt to be had about that. But so I think it's interesting.
Here's the quote. Let me
Yeah,
get you your reaction to the quote.
Quote me.
The Commission's in-depth market investigation indicates that Microsoft would not be able to harm rival consoles and rival multi-game subscription services.
Okay.
And while European regulators find that the deal could hurt other cloud gaming providers, they said they were satisfied with Microsoft's proposal to give all of its players licenses to stream their games through other companies if they want.
Okay.
So,
So
Your thought.
Microsoft did just like, with that permission is basically saying like, hey, if you don't want to use our streaming service or our cloud gaming service, it's okay. These games aren't going to be exclusive,
not necessarily, yeah.
which is also the sticking point for the Sony Xbox argument, right? Okay, all right. I find it interesting that the UK was very quick to stomp their foot down and say no. And then a couple of weeks after that, the EU is like, yeah, no, this is fine. And they address the exact same concerns that the UK brought up. Do you think that this means that basically everybody but the UK are going to benefit from
So
this?
let's review where we're at right now. Japan has approved the deal.
Yep.
The EU has approved the deal.
Yep.
The UK has disapproved the deal, but it's in an appeals process right now.
Yep.
And the U.S. Federal Trade Commission has sued to stop the deal. That's working its way through the courts, and I think the last I read is July is when we're expecting the hearings about that.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
the UK is a small enough market.
Yes.
So my argument to a lot of people previously was, if the EU fully, like the full EU says no, Microsoft can't just pull out of the European Union.
Right.
Their footprint in Japan is tiny,
Right.
right? They've never, and I mean not even close to competed with
They
Sony
can't-
in Japan and
they
Nintendo.
can't touch Sony and Nintendo.
It's-
That's their home turf. That's fine.
It's there, they have it. But if that wasn't there, it's not a huge deal. The US and the European Union are the two places where they can't afford to just walk away from those markets.
Right.
The UK is small enough,
That it won't necessarily affect
it,
too
it wouldn't wreck
heavily.
them. Right, it wouldn't wreck their whole thingy.
But the US, on the other hand,
Is
the
too big of a
main
market. Yep.
hub. Right. That's their home turf.
That's the last one.
Have we heard anything from the Southern Hemisphere? Because I do find that like a lot of this has been only Northern Hemisphere.
For
Discourse.
video games, they're just not a large enough market for them to pay attention to as closely.
Okay.
China's pretty much locked out all of those guys, and they don't like to go in there because of IP theft,
Right.
right? And because of knockoffs and things like that. So that's not a huge one for them. again, this is why a lot of the coverage has been focused on EU, UK, Japan, and us.
Right.
Is because those are the 4 markets that, if this deal's going to coalesce,
It's going to be the most
it's got to be
impactful there.
those ones that say it's
Right.
okay. Because if they have to cut out Chile, Microsoft doesn't care about cutting out Chile. They're like, all right, whatever. You don't want to approve it, we just won't have our service in your country, right? But the US, the EU, Japan, and UK are the ones that are going to have a distinct impact.
Do we have any updates and or projections for the FTC?
July.
Just that's it.
July.
That's the only words. Okay.
July. They're
See,
going to have a hearing in July, and the FTC has a very long history of being at odds with Microsoft.
That's very true.
This was one of the first modern monopoly cases and modern antitrust cases was Microsoft.
Sorry, chat.
Sorry, that was a good one in the chat. Yeah, in the U.S. you can buy Xbox, in China it's a Z-Box because communism made it too better. Oh, that's terrible.
So I kind of want to reserve my hopes.
Because you're a fan of this deal
Well,
in general.
yeah. I mean, so we've
Partially
seen,
because you think Bobby Kotick's going to get kicked out of Activision.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, especially with the discourse over everything that happened with Blizzard, and especially with Activision's own public image, like seeing Microsoft take it over, especially with how they take care of, shit like that.
That's because they actually have an HR department.
Right. And their HR department cares about inclusion. It cares about taking care of, the
Employees.
women and everybody else. Yeah. So
You're not going to have the same cultural issues out of Microsoft, which is a much older, much more mature company
yes.
than a video game company like Activision.
Yes. So suffice to say, I would like to see them under new management. I'm trying to reserve my judgment and my hopes and dreams until we do see that FTC suit in July.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that the EU and the UK have both kind of come at odds. I don't think that it is a surprise by any means. And I do also find it interesting that Japan was the first to go, yeah, fine.
Whatever,
Like,
we don't care.
go for it. We don't care. You're not really going to do anything to us
Whatever.
anyways.
Yep.
Which,
Here's
kudos to them, because confidence. Give me your hot take.
I am generally against corporate consolidation. That's been my general feeling for a very, very long time. I don't like corporate consolidation. Yes, I'd like to see Activision under new management. The thing is I think that the issue that all of these folks run into is this. They cannot predict the second and third order effects of what this deal is going to do 8-10 years from now as they're trying to approve it. We don't know, we don't know what the future of cloud gaming is. We just don't, right? The fact of the matter is we don't know what the future of digital distribution is. We don't know what the future of cloud gaming is. We don't know what any of these things are going to look like in 10 years.
It is the Wild West right now.
And so what they're trying to do, and this has been the problem with just technology stuff in general, is how do you regulate in time?
Right.
Right? How do you go, yeah, we've got a general idea this is probably a bad idea, especially when it's like, we feel like this might be a bad idea, but we can't really prove it because we can't articulate everything we think might happen.
We don't have the words or concepts yet.
Yeah, we don't know. Trying to predict ChatGPT 10 years ago.
That wasn't on my radar.
And again, the specifics with corporate consolidation and what that means is really, really difficult to predict.
And we can't even call it monopolization because it is not they're not taking over Sony, right? They're taking over game
They're buying one of their
companies.
suppliers.
Right.
And so that's the thing where they go, they're not buying a different vertical, or they're not buying outside of that thing. They're not buying their horizontal stuff. They're just doing a thing, Which is why, again, everybody was really surprised when UK CMA came out against it. Because
Yeah.
they're typically, when it's like when you're buying a supplier up or down chain,
They don't have any issues.
it's
with
usually
it
not an
most of
issue.
the
It's
time.
usually when you're trying to buy a direct competitor
Yes.
and you're trying to merge with a competitor and lowering the amount of competition in that market that they start having issues.
Which the U.S. is very well known for.
And the other thing is, you know, the argument is, yeah, it's Activision Blizzard, but new game companies come out all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
I mean, we see new game companies established with studios of 1 to 3 people, like.
yeah, because you see guys leave
All the
like,
time.
all right, these 5 people left Ubisoft and they
Right.
went and formed their own studio and now
Right.
they're making this game. And that's where Respawn came from.
Yes.
Respawn was developers who came out of Bungie,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Was it Bungie?
I believe it was Bungie, and
think
I
it was
also know
Bungie.
that I'm pretty sure.
Was it
if
Bungie
I
or was
remember
it-
right,
It might have been Activision because it might have been Call of Duty guys.
save
looking.
us.
I'm looking.
So it's like when Carnegie bought the railroads and distribution of his steel. That worked out well for everyone. Especially, actually, speaking of Pinkertons, which yes. So
funny.
again, like I'm not at my core. I'm never rooting for the corporations.
Yeah,
They're not people.
the big difference between Carnegie and here, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of times these will fly through.
I feel like we need to take a clip so
Video-
that we can have insert foot in mouth for the future.
Video games are a luxury good. They are not. Carnegie, when he's buying rails, he's buying the means of distribution for food and, you know, goods and things like that.
Right.
Video games are, at the end of the day, a luxury good.
You don't necessarily need them to live or survive.
Yep. And
However, they are a bonus to have.
yes. So the way that they look at it from a regulatory standpoint is necessarily going to be very different.
Infinity Ward Call of Duty.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Infinity War Call of Duty guys came out and they made Respawn. Again,
And I do believe that they actually ended up working well together and giving each other kudos at the end of the day, anyways.
look, I'm all for owner-operated companies.
Yeah.
There are some of them, now there's been some of them that are actually really, really bad. Winco Foods comes to mind. But the EU approving it is a huge step forward. I have gone back and forth where I'm like, it's going to get done. No.
Well, yeah, it's very much one of those things that have kept us on the edge of our
It's been a
seats,
yo-yo.
and we are going to continue to be on the edge of our seats.
So this is done one way or another.
It'll be interesting. Let us know what you guys think. I can only imagine, right, that either this turns out very good for gamers or just absolutely a shit show. Either way. And so if you have YouTube chat's very much repping the go play a board game at an LGS instead.
You
Which,
can just come play video games here.
yeah, we have video games. We have Game Pass. We have Switches. We have PS5s. We have regular Xboxes for LAN parties. All that good stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I do think that having better management and better control over the frat boys, so to speak, and
Probably a good idea.
the misogyny that is rife in the game world, especially, to have control over that and to actually improve on that will make the gaming experience better. It will make it so that women are not afraid to be on mics when they play games. It'll make it so that, like, we are proud to be gamers and part of that community. And I can only hope that if they do kind of merge and create
A better system.
a better system,
It'll be better.
it'll be better for all of us. Especially, we have kids growing up in this now.
We're going to find out because Starfield, they're Bethesda Activision. Starfield comes out soon. So we're going to
Yes.
find out. I'm ready for Blizzard. But does Blizzard release new games? I
No.
keep waiting for one. Overwatch 1.5.
Diablo 4.
Yeah. All right. So that's that topic. Let us know what you think. We love you all. Staying in the video game realm, Amazon Games, who, and specifically the dev team that made New World,
You played a lot of New World.
I did, is releasing a Lord of the Rings MMO. They're now developing a Lord of the Rings MMO with that same dev team. Your thoughts?
Okay, so you asked me about this morning, and I still don't have an answer on what I would want to see for a Lord of the Rings MMO, because this is...
You played a little bit of New World when it first dropped.
Yeah, and I do think the mechanics they're well done. right? So let's backtrack.
Okay.
Back when Elder Scrolls Online came up as a new game, I played from launch for 2 years as almost a full-time job. Like I was, traveling abroad. I was a military spouse. I, didn't have very many connections, so I made my connections online. That is how I existed for quite a long time. And so I have done the phase of my life where I have sunk a lot of my life into an MMO, and trying to rack my brain on what I would want to see, right, for a Lord of the Rings MMO. I feel like the story is very epic, and I think that it can be done well. I am just hesitant.
So, upsides and downsides. One of the problems with New World is I felt that some of the bad guys, it was it was the same bad guys over and over and over again, and they were kind of limited by what the story they were telling allowed them to do as far as stuff like that.
In New World, right?
In New World.
Yes.
You're going to have a little less of that in Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. There are so many ways you can spin that.
I presume, and again, they've said that it's going to take place, that stories from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings will be part of this. I could see a situation very similar to World of Warcraft, where you pick a faction.
That I was just thinking about that. Like, you're going to be, a human from Rohan. You're going to be a
human from
halfling.
Gondor.
You can be from Gondor. You can be an elf, which that gives you quite a few different factions. You could be an orc or an urukai. I'm sure, which would be really freaking cool. Would you be able to be a Maiar?
I don't know. Again, can they use all the stories
casters?
just like the little in the show? I'm not really sure. Somebody in the chat's asking what they can use. That's getting into some stuff, and I know there's been some weird rights issues with Lord of the Rings specifically, and the Tolkien estate, and who owns what between, I think it's Miramax and Amazon and everybody else who owns pieces of it. I want to be a hobbit, smoke with wizards. Yeah, that would be dope.
Literally.
So, somebody in the chat also said a New World with a Lord of the Rings skin. Here's the thing, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
They have good mechanics.
They
have really good bones. I just don't think that they had a good story for it.
Here's a good question. Magic is not super prevalent in Lord of the Rings.
It's not.
There are 4 wizards.
Well, they're not necessarily. Okay, I'm gonna show my nerddom here. They're not. The magic in Lord of the Rings is either the old world magic, which comes from the earth, right? You have the elves, who also have their own brand of magic, and then you also have the wizards, right? Who aren't from that world. They're basically the Tolkien-esque version of angels, that were sent to that world from the gods that created the world.
It's not the same kind of magic. We're not talking about World of Warcraft magic where they're like fireball, fireball, fireball.
It's not
that doesn't
fireball,
exist in Lord of the Rings.
No.
Push up your glasses. Thank you, chat.
However, I do think it brings about an interesting argument, right? Because the Maiar are the wizards, right? That's what Gandalf is. And so was Sauron, I believe. They're supposed to be very rare in this world. They're not supposed to be commonplace. They are not supposed to be something that you can just go and roll a wizard class and go and tromp around, which I do think for a game mechanic, they would either need to find a way to circumvent that or create a new canonical way that magic exists in this world. Or what they could do, right, is go into the future of Middle-earth or the past of Middle-earth, which would give them a lot of story fodder. You would be able to play through a lot of things. There's just the question of how well are they going to honor the story? And I will give creative license, right? There's always going to be that wiggle room.
I'll tell you this, Lord of the Rings fans do not give creative license.
No, they don't.
They're one of the fandoms that I notice. It's
rabid.
like Star Wars fans even give them more creative license with video games than they do than Lord of the Rings fans do. Somebody in YouTube chat said, could they do Shadows over Mordor?
That's what actually I was wondering about. I do think that between the New World mechanics and the Shadow of Mordor mechanics, especially with the Nemesis system. They have a very interesting and well established game concept that they could use. I want to know where they're placing this story, in what era of the world they're doing it, because there's so much. Tolkien wrote literally like almost a millennia of lore.
history, right?
Yeah, of history.
Yeah.
Like I have a book that literally has like the makings of the world. It's called the Lost Tales, and it's wonderful. It was published after Tolkien died.
Christopher Tolkien's done a lot of work with his father's writings,
Yes.
and edited and kind of tweaked out some of the stuff
Yes.
to get it out.
Yes, and Ramen is right in Twitch chat. It's very low key magic, unless of course you have the wizards, right? The Wizards 4.
I want to be an Ent.
Oh yes,
Can I be an Ent?
yes, that would be so cool.
I want to be an Ent. Okay, Amazon.
You won't be able to see the Entwives though.
That's okay. I just want to be an Ent.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Because like I am intrigued. I am hesitant to be excited about it because
This is one they could really easily mess up.
yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for really cool things to be made here, and a lot of growth, especially in Tolkien's world, which is inherently, like, we have to admit there are quite a few problematic things in this world and in Tolkien's own beliefs that helped craft this world. So like if we can bring it kind of into the new age and improve upon this, right? And bring in a lot of the really cool game mechanics that we have created, especially with New World, especially with Shadow of Mordor. I think that it will be...
Will this be an extension of Rings of Power show and that section of lore? I don't know.
That's a good question.
They're not saying much right now. They literally, like, the announcement just came out.
I mean, they stayed
where they
mum
were
about
like-
the Rings of Power show, too.
Where they were like, boom, hey, by the way, we're doing this now. New World team's working on this.
Watch them release it with the Magic of the Gathering Lord of the Rings set. Do we actually have a release date for this, or did they just go, hey, we're doing a game?
Yeah, nope, they just said, hey, we're doing a game.
Okay.
They did say that it has nothing to do with the one that they were attempting to do but got canceled. Now they've brought on the New World team from Amazon Games to do that. I will say this. New World was reasonably well put together. My opinion is that you got to a point where there was just nothing left to do.
Yeah, like I said, they had issues with the story. There was no reason to continue playing after a certain point. I do think that if they wanted to, and somebody mentioned Catgirls in the chat, like if they wanted to, they could also draw from a lot of the more successful MMOs that are continuing to go, like Final Fantasy XIV. You have so much to draw from.
Kind of the extension, like...
It's a softball. If you really want...
Will they be able to add stuff, like more stuff about the guys from the East?
Oh, yeah. No, there's so much.
You know.
Because, like, they talk about, like, the elephants, which they call olifants.
I like the
olifants. The olifants, which are so cool. Like, they have so much that they can draw from here, and they have so much lore and backstory that they can introduce that will give players who are not familiar with Lord of the Rings, like, some really good experience.
This is the upside for them using Lord of the Rings, is that unlike New World, where you're building a new lore and a new world from scratch.
That is why.
Yeah, that's why I say it, because it's a joke that because I will freely be like, look at the olifants.
It's actually how they spelled it in the books too.
Yeah.
Like it's Oliphaunts.
And I love olifants.
They're olifants.
Yes.
I just want to see Tom Bombadil. At least don't cut him out. Come on.
Because you could do an in-game. You could do an in-game event with the Scouring of the Shire.
Yes. Oh
right?
God, that would be painful though.
Okay, so there's a lot you could do with that.
There's so much that I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. I am a little hesitant to throw all of my eggs into this basket because I was really excited for New World, and then I played for a week. I played for a week.
I played for more than a week, but it was, again, it got to a point where I was like, to hold me, you've got to keep your content like fresh. Like I got to feel like I'm doing new stuff, and I just didn't feel that way with New World. After a while, like it just got repetitive.
It felt like I was
It was
playing.
very grindy.
I felt like I was playing a mobile game on the PC with just like really cool mechanics.
That's
Like
harsh.
I literally took a day and just went around and chopped down trees. So again, cautiously optimistic. I want to see where they're gonna take this. I will reserve my judgment
Until we see more.
Until we see more. And I will also have to be very considerate of how much time I'm going to be able to put into this. But if you guys hear anything, let me know, because I am definitely one of the first people to be very excited about Lord of the Rings. Like we were talking about the Lord of the Rings set for Magic. I am, again, not happy with the company. However,
Love that set, don't you?
I am cautiously optimistic about the set. I am excited about that too. So, yeah, I don't know. Lord of the Rings is cool. It has a lot of lore. Do it good.
Okay. By the way, if you have any chat topics, we should have some time for some more beyond what I've got in there right now. So
Yes.
if you've seen anything in the news or on pop culture stuff that you're like, hey, I wanted you guys to talk about this, or I'd love to chat with you about it, drop it into the chat right now,
They could do
and we will
dwarves
do that.
with the Mines of Moria.
Oh, yeah,
They could do that
there's
as an entire event.
There's a bunch they could do.
They could also, oh God, okay, sorry.
See?
Yeah, Pete's over there like, whoa.
See, this is the thing I wanted at the beginning. What did you want out of it? You want all these things as events and all the big stuff.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of storylines that they could explore and give a lot of backstory to that you only get references and like a kind of nod to. Like
Yep.
You're gonna have to fight a Balrog. Like that's.
Seems like a big one.
You could have an entire feast with halflings and do a party around the Great Tree. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, I am. That Deep Rock Galactic.
While
Lord of
we're
the
waiting for
Rings.
more chat topics,
Rock and
people,
Stone.
throw your topics down in there, but we will remind you, we do have trivia tonight. We have nerdy trivia with Brandon Victor. So come in tonight, play some trivia, and have some fun. And there will be a mystery boba, and you get points for guessing the mystery boba.
This is true.
That's what's fun. Okay?
What's it gonna be?
Well, you can't say that on camera. That's
you're
not.
gonna
That's
do that.
not the mystery, Pete.
We got another one, producer Pete.
Um.
Yeah, so come in for trivia tonight. We'll have drafts on Wednesday. Next week, next Sunday, we should be having the Chaos Draft
Yes.
on Sunday.
Chaos.
So we will have Chaos Draft, and it will go, and it will be fun. So come in for Chaos Draft. Next Sunday, I'm staring at a crap ton of boxes.
Yeah.
So we should be drawing from Midnight Hunt, Kamigawa, Brothers War, Zendikar, Dominaria, everything but Infinity. We will not be putting
Crimson
Infinity.
Vow. Oh.
No Infinity in the thing.
Or are you just gonna pull them behind? Hello.
Not
we
this
have
one.
draft stuff. Not
Oh.
that one.
Not that one.
Infinity.
Not Infinity.
Don't.
Not Infinity.
Not
It,
that.
it's too hard to mix into it. We tried it in the Chaos Draft.
We
It
tried
did
that.
not work.
Nobody liked it. That's
Um,
okay though. We
but
have to
everything
learn
else will
from
be
our
there.
mistakes.
Okay.
So I actually have another announcement because Pete, myself, and one of our community members, Drew, have been working on sorting out and cataloging our bulk singles. So our new pick list ability, in-store only, will be going live tonight. We're very excited to bring that to you guys. We've been sorting cards and alphabetizing and, you know, scanning them into the Card Kingdom? Card Castle. Into Card Castle for like the last 3 weeks, and we've done about 32,000. We have so many more that we need to get through, but we wanted to make sure that we could have it go live. So come in, test out the new system, let us know what you think. Give us the opportunity to streamline this and make it as good as possible so you guys can come in and do deck pick lists and just have a deck waiting for you when you come in.
You will be able to do deck pick lists. So talk to our staff about what the process is going to be
Yes.
to put together your list, but you'll be able to look through the catalog. We have, like Taylor said, it's 30,000 cards. I forget. I asked Drew at one point how many actual individual cards, because you can do full like play sets and things like that because we have multiples and stuff. So
Oh, we have so many multiples.
So, yeah, come into the store, find out what the process is, and yeah, these are ones where you can build a pick list and just get us to build you a deck for $40.
Yep.
So, all right, moving on to our next topic, the Blade movie getting delayed. This is not a bloody surprise at all.
We did talk about this.
We did, and we
It's
talked about it in
sadness.
the abstract. Apparently now it's official.
Oh,
They're
they
stuck.
confirmed it?
They hired a new writer. They hired a new writer on Blade a week before the strike.
Rough. That's rough, buddy. Okay, oh, Jesus.
Producer Pete
Almost
just
like-
left.
Yeah.
I have to cough.
Silk Song got delayed too.
Oh, I did see that.
So
They were talking about making sure that they could do what they wanted to with the story. I am sad about that, but
going back to it, this is kind of what we talked about. You can go back to our YouTube channel. We've had a couple of videos on the WGA strike as we've kind of been going.
yep.
This was what was going to happen. So to kind of review, as the writers go on strike, right? As the writers go on strike, the first thing that's going to shut down is late night TV. Why? Because those shows are written daily, right? That writer's room is in there every morning going, all right, what happened yesterday and how do we turn it into jokes?
Yep.
Right? So your Colbert's, your Daily Shows, your Jimmy Fallon's, your Jimmy Kimmel's,
Yep.
Bill Maher, all those are done. SNL, same thing. They write it week to week. Those are the first ones that go dark. As the strike continues, you will start to see more stuff happening. So it's now been 15 days since they went on strike. The last strike lasted 100 days. I don't know how long this one is going to last because the DGA's contract is up at the end of the month.
Yep. We do have.
DGA and SAG are both up at the end of the month.
Yep.
Yes, the last strike was 100 days. It was bad. It killed a lot of really good TV shows. So right now what you're seeing, so like, for example, the new Rings of Power season had 17 days left of shooting. They opted to continue shooting
Oh.
without the showrunners on set because they're also the writers, right? But it was the last 17 days. So of the total shooting schedule for Rings of Power Season 2, wasn't that much. It's a judgment call, right? And also, let's get this shot before the other strikes happen.
We're gonna see the quality of that just tank in the last half, isn't it?
So the thing is they may end up because a lot of times they film the ends of seasons first,
Before, right.
and
So everybody's fresh.
They film it and they film it in chunks. Like if you're doing a lot of location work,
Right.
let's say you go to the same location in 5 different episodes,
You get
they'll
all
film,
of that filming for that place done first.
and then you move on.
Right.
So who knows? You may not notice because it was only 17 days left.
It will be interesting with Rings of Power anyways because there is also some discourse about how they even came up with the concept for Rings of Power.
Yeah, I mean,
Just something we can cover at a different time.
I'm doing more research into it before we Phil brought it up this morning, and I was like, from what I'm seeing so far, I don't think that guy has a case. But
Phil is pretty ruffled about it. We'll see.
So House of the Dragon season 2 is filming in the UK. They are
How they circumvented the strike?
no, they're just not filming with their writers.
Okay.
They're literally filming without their writers. If the actors in DGA goes on strike, it doesn't matter that they're in the UK.
Right.
Right. SAG
They'll
will
still
walk.
strike.
SAG and the DGA will walk. Blade getting delayed is not surprising. This is what's gonna keep happening. Is that as you go on, they're gonna wait until the very last second to delay everything. There's a couple really good shows that I watch about film and television filming, and in these films, schedule is everything. Those schedules are wired super tight because every day that you're on set is more money you got to spend, and you're trying to come in under budget.
Yep.
And so they will wait until the absolute last second to delay something because you don't want to delay it. But this is absolutely what you're going to see more of is Blade. Blade, in my opinion, is kind of cursed. They've gone through 3 writer teams. They've gone through 2 different directors.
This is the third time
Mahershala
they're trying
Ali is
to
going to be
revive it.
50.
Yeah.
I-
It'll be like Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond, unfortunately, I'm afraid that one will never happen. It makes me sad.
Oh, I'm saying the cartoon where they just have
Oh.
very old Bruce Wayne like guiding the new Batman. It'll
Yeah.
be Blade in like 2099.
The absolute last second is going to take some time to arrive at this rate. So here's the thing. Last time, the studios weren't at risk of all 3 of the major guilds going on strike at once.
Nope.
The issue is this strike may not take as long. Because again,
There's more power.
if SAG and DGA strike at the end of the month and don't reach a deal,
Especially as it's workers' rights. Like this
Right.
is for the ability to be fairly compensated for their work.
So my issue is the issue that we have right now is we don't know, and the Writers Guild was leaking a little more than DGA or SAG are on their negotiations. So what I think you're going to see here at the end of this month is if SAG is getting close, I think you'll see the strike end really fast, right? Because
Do you think it'll be a bargaining chip?
that's absolutely a bargaining chip. And here's the thing. If SAG and the DGA don't strike and they get new deals, what they're going to do, is what the producers are going to do if they're smart, is they're going to take the deals that they give to SAG and the DGA regarding things, because it's going to be the same issues. It's going to be streaming transparency. It's going to be residuals for SVOD.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's going to be the issue. Right? And what they're going to do is they're going to take the contracts they get from the SAG and DGA. If they manage to get them done, they're going to go to the WGA and they're going to go, this is the deal. And the WGA is going to have very little leverage at that point to move it forward beyond what has probably been set forth by SAG and the DGA.
Historically, though, SAG and the DGA have worked very closely with the WGA.
Yeah, and this is, again...
And they support each other in their strikes.
They do. Again, the only thing that's making me question SAG is stuff that the president of SAG has said. Right.
Yeah, but it's just the president. You can't
she's
really
in charge
control
of
the rest of them.
She's in charge of the negotiations.
Joy.
So the president of SAG's comments lately have made me a little concerned about what's going to happen there. I don't know. I don't know. We're going to find out at the end of this month. It's going to be really interesting. Again, SAG and DGA going on strike, everything shuts down at that point. Now you're just done, right? Production stops.
And then it will be a new revival of anime.
And then they will. Then I think the Producers Guild will come back to the bargaining table with. So if SAG and DGA go on strike, all of the power runs to that side of it.
Right.
Right. If either SAG or the DGA, because the issue right now is, let's say the stuff's already written, it's done. They can be filming, right? And they're also at the end of the TV season for the broadcast networks, right? Everything the broadcast networks are going to be airing for the next week or so until the season ends was filmed a month ago.
Right.
So it's all just in post, and they're just doing the cleanup on audio and everything else. They've got the summer, right? And so that's, again, if SAG goes, though, like, everything shuts down. You're done. Like, you can't do it without actors.
Nope.
Can't do it without directors. You really can't do it without directors, because that's how you get really bad TV. Bring in some stuff. Somebody had asked on another show that I saw whether they could bring in other writers like novelists or other types of writers to do it. Technically, they could. If you do that, you will never get into the Writers Guild.
Nope.
Right? If they do that, it's if you ever thought you wanted to be a screenwriter and you crossed the line and you work for the studios while
you're done.
The WJ is on strike, you'll get blacklisted. And you won't be able to do that. Everything's going to be reality TV and anime. So the problem is that that's what the writers are afraid of. And that's what Netflix has been threatening. Netflix is like, screw it, we'll go to Japan and Korea. And we'll start pulling in their programming, because look how good Squid Game did.
And then we'll cancel it after the first season, because that's what we're doing right now.
But, I mean, if they grab Korean soap operas that have been running for 5 seasons. But cool, now I've got 5 years. That's what Netflix is threatening to do.
That's great, but they still can't manage to keep anything on their platform for more than a first season.
Yeah.
Because they just cancel it prematurely.
Cancel it.
Like, that's Netflix, maybe out of all of them, is not the one I would even give, like, any credence to. Maybe I would even give Hulu more credence on that end. Like, Hulu...
Who's apparently merging, they're merging the 2 apps. Disney Plus and Hulu are merging.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're merging the 2 apps. Well, Disney owns the majority stake in both. I mean,
what doesn't Disney own at this point?
Sony. They don't own a few things. So...
Activision and Blizzard.
Activision and Blizzard. So, again, the Blade movie getting delayed. You're going to start seeing this. This is just what's going to happen. You know, these projects are going to start getting kicked down the road. Supposedly, Superman Legacy is going in. I actually feel really bad for James Gunn.
Yes.
I feel really bad for James Gunn.
Well,
because, so here's the problem that he has. He's on both sides of it.
Yeah.
He is a WGA gilded writer.
Yeah.
And he's the head of a studio.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, David Zaslav was like, you can't just like, fine, don't write, but you got to come to work, dude. Like, you're running DC Studios.
Yep.
And the animation writers are in a different guild.
Yep.
So that's the other thing too, is that animation writers are in a different guild than the WGA.
Which will be very interesting to see how that shakes out, because we also have AI stepping into animation very quickly as well. I mean, besides the bespoke tools that certain studios use that have created those tools for those purposes, right? You have the exact same issue that the Writers Guild is coming across with stuff like ChatGPT. It will be very interesting.
Yep.
Enjoy, Kelsey.
So, yeah, I said, I don't know where this is going to fall. It's a very different situation from a structural, economic, and corporate situation than it was back in 2007, 2008 when they did the last strike. And again, they didn't have SAG and EGA on their behinds. Again, I feel bad for guys like Gunn. Gunn's really stuck. He's in a bad spot because he's the head of the studio.
Sucks.
He's the head of the studio, so he's on both sides, literally on both sides of the negotiations.
I see you, Mallow, and that is true.
Yeah, they're not going to replace, right? And again, here's the thing. Movie producers and TV show producers might believe, though, that ChatGPT can replace writers. It's not about whether we think it's going to be good. It's about whether they want to do that.
I really want them to go and talk to like high school and college teachers, because I have been watching a lot of the discourse of students using ChatGPT to spit them out papers, and unfortunately, like, there is...
You have to go back in there and make sure it doesn't say, I am a large language model. That was one I saw where they were
or
like...
as an AI power-based tool, like...
You have to cut that sentence out when you copy it into Word.
Everybody proofread your shit.
All
Duh.
right. Moving along. Next topic. What do I think about GW announcing tents way too early? I thought they should wait till December.
Yeah.
I've said that a bunch of times.
I feel like they really screwed their players.
Yeah, not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one, especially World Leaders and National Militarum, and the fact that this is a hard reset, not like 8th to 9th where it was soft and the codexes were still valid, going into 9th edition. No, this is a hard reset and things like that. As far as the timeline and the way they're doing it from announcement to release, that's about right. It's 2 months. So we tell you, hey, new edition's coming in 2 months. We're not going to tease this out for a long time because they also know it's bad for their business. You know, I think they should have waited until holiday season, but this is when they always release new editions. This is the summer.
So I actually want to kind of highlight the trend that I have seen, especially with what we've covered about Magic and with this Warhammer topic. Like, I have been watching, especially a lot of our community members, pivot from playing Magic.
Warhammer?
Not even Warhammer. It is not Warhammer. They are pivoting to Kill Team.
Yeah, it's the entry level.
It is the entry level, but they are fully investing more so in the bespoke teams for Kill Team.
Yep.
Instead of trying to buy Warhammer and go Compendium, which is what I will have to play if I play Kill Team. And they're also, not only are they running a league, but they're also talking about helping homebrew rules that will make Compendium armies and Kill Teams more viable in Kill Team to make it a more rounded out game. So I am watching the people who have come up with stuff like Oathbreaker and, you know, like treasure hunt Magic concepts and going into a completely different medium of game and going, you know what? We're just going to take our innovation over here and our passion over here and have fun over here instead.
And here's the thing. I said this on the thing. Pete did a short on this. Warhammer's cheaper than Magic.
It is.
It is cheaper than Magic.
It has well, I can't say it has more longevity because we are talking about the premature announcement of 10th edition.
Warhammer has been around longer than Magic has.
I haven't even been able to field my army
since
I got it.
Yeah. Warhammer has been around longer than Magic.
Yes.
again, I would have waited longer for 10th, but yeah, it's Kill Team is it's solidly built. It's a reasonable game. It's a good entry point for 40K. It's shorter. It's in a lot of ways easier.
Snappier.
It's snappier. You know, it doesn't have whole side go. It's alternating units. There's some good things that they do with Kill Team. It's how Phil got me back into Warhammer. I had left at the end of 3rd, beginning of 4th edition, and I came back during 8th because he was like, "Oh, let's play Kill Team." And 1st edition Kill Team was Warhammer 40K Light, and all the models cross over, and they still do. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people wander over to Warhammer and Kill Team.
I cannot state how much joy that brings me, though. I'm really excited to see kind of like not a resurgence, but a kindling of just a love for a different game from people who primarily came in to sling cardboard. Like it is not only gratifying, but is very interesting to watch. And it is absolutely exciting to encourage as well. So if you ever wanted to jump in, especially with people who are passionate about gaming and passionate about making good gaming communities, like consider Kill Team. If you're mad at Magic, consider Kill Team.
Yeah.
I think it would be Darkson. Yes, you could always play chess as well, and that is absolutely fair too.
You know what? That's an interesting topic.
What?
That is an interesting topic. And I wonder how...
Or Mahjong.
I wonder how, if you're Games Workshop, or if you're Magic, if you're in any of these games, how you fix that problem. Because the fact of the matter is that the intricacies of chess, while perfectly balanced because it's exactly the same figures
As all
on each,
things should be.
right? The fact of the matter is that, you know, there's now hundreds and hundreds of years of chess strategy and stuff like that. And here's my thing, like, chess is a lot like Warhammer. I can teach anybody the basic rules of Warhammer in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, right? Where this is how you shoot, this is how you move, this is how you do this. The same way I would teach somebody to play chess, or that I was taught to play chess, which is, here's how a pawn moves, here's how a knight moves, here's how a rook moves, here's how a bishop moves. It's not really that much less complicated, especially when you, again, look at the fact that the learning curve to go from, I know how to play chess.
It's a low skill floor, high skill ceiling.
Yes, because people who are really good at chess
Yes.
are super good at chess.
Yes.
Right? And like, you just cannot beat them. Right? Like, I know how to play chess. I will never be chess.
I am not good at chess.
How
I am
much-
a checkers player.
How much do I have to pay for your introduction to Warhammer? Nothing. Come into the store.
Free fitty.
And I will show you how to play Warhammer. It's, again, the funny thing about it is people, like, again, they compare it to stuff like chess, and I'm like, it's not less complicated in my opinion, because again,
I feel like Warhammer is more complicated and more overwhelming than chess is. It, like, in my personal opinion.
That's what I'm saying is that I'm trying to figure out, how does GW get past that? How do you change that perception?
They are failing at it, clearly, because
And again,
like,
I'm agreeing with you.
You get past it by having people like Phil. You get past it by having people who are so in love with this game that they want to share that love with everybody else, which is the same with almost any other game, right? But I feel like, and don't get me wrong, like, this is the perception that I have had just kind of growing up in the world that I have, right? I feel like Warhammer is one of those ones that, while becoming more mainstream and while becoming more progressive and easy to get into as, you know, whoever you are, instead of just like some nerdy dude, no shade, nerdy dudes, I appreciate you too. I do think that, like, the work that is being done to make it so that Warhammer is more alluring to new players is solely placed on the community members, period.
So that's one of the reasons they're making the change to 10th, and that they've stated openly. One of the ideas of 10th is to make the game simpler and easier to understand. So again, I don't know if they're going to succeed with it, because guess what? We haven't seen the rules for 10th yet, except for the drips and drabs that they're letting out on the Warhammer community page, which I get it's marketing. Yeah, and I'm looking at chat, and chat's kind of making my point maybe a little bit better for me than I am. Whereas chess is all about who knows every gambit and opening, ending.
Yeah.
Like where I'm like, I look at chess and I'm like, it's just to me is extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because
I
in
get
order
that.
to ever be any good at it, there is so many like
You have to memorize things.
so many
Those
things that I would
patterns,
have to know about not only
strategies.
yeah exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas in Warhammer it's like and again that's why
I roll dice and then move mini.
to me when I look at it I go Games Workshop is messing something up here because again I think
It
Warhammer's
shouldn't feel
probably
that overwhelming.
Warhammer's probably simpler than chess in a lot of ways. It just hasn't had the time to develop the level of strategy and stuff like that chess has.
Huh.
I am a player who still plays with the beginner's chess set that has the literal moves printed on the pieces as reminders. So I don't know. I feel like, and this is something that I've seen a lot of other board games and TTRPGs do, right, is people get really passionate about the thing. They very much enjoy it. Then they notice they don't have anybody to play with them. So then they make how to play videos. They make introductory things. They make cards that have, like quick reference guides. They make all of these things and that end up being adopted by the community. But it is usually something that is made by the player base, which is also something that Wizards ran afoul of when they messed with the OGL, right? Because you have all of those tools, the safety tools, the reference guides, the better character sheets for folks that need, easier access to things. Like all of these things are community ran. It is the player passion that makes these games.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are making a game like Warhammer, and you're not, or Magic for all intents and purposes here, and you are not keeping in mind who you are making this game for, and how you are making it accessible, and who you are making it accessible for, then you're just kind of putting something out there and going, money please.
Yeah.
And that's also why you need local game stores, because how else are you going to have that community?
Oh, absolutely. I think the friendly local game store is the key element to this.
Yeah.
Because again, I think about Magic now, like Warhammer and like the basic rules of Magic. Like, here's how you play. You're allowed to play this many lands a turn.
Right.
You're allowed to do
Yeah.
the basic.
A 60 card deck.
The basic rules of Magic are pretty simple.
And yet you speak to anybody who's trying to get into it. Like I was speaking with a customer, Mark's partner,
Yeah.
who is trying to get into Magic. They have their hands on
so many mechanics.
very old Magic cards and the newest stuff, and they've been trying to parse through all of the mechanics, and there is a new mechanic that is introduced every single set, and they're releasing a new set every month, so that is 12 new mechanics a year for the last however many years that you have to be able to play to be relevant in the game space. And we don't have easy reference guides for those. You just have to be able to sit there and ask players like Oscar, hey, what the hell does this mean?
Even then, it's like, yeah, you got to do so much research to know anything about Magic.
And that's overwhelming.
It's extremely overwhelming. I'm trying to, and again,
How do you make it less overwhelming?
I don't know.
Unless you help kindle that community, help them get those reference guides, help them make it more accessible, and make it so that game is their own.
Yes, I just don't know how you do it.
Charts?
Charts. I'll be honest. This is really and I it's kind of like Identico. I tell people I can teach you Identico in 10 minutes. Right. I can teach you the basic rules that you need to know how to play in 10 minutes.
Mallow has how to make a character in like 3.
Right. It's not hard to play, and yet the number one thing is, well, I already know D&D, and what you're saying is not, I know the basic rule system. It's I know all of the little intricate little pieces of tiny rule set, and it's the same thing with Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is the, and again, I agree with you, it's community. And it's the same thing with Warhammer, right? With Warhammer, it's points efficiencies, right? And knowing what units do this, and knowing your play style and going, okay, this is what's going to work well for me and the style of play that I want to do
knowing what you're
tactically.
going up against as well.
Right, and so it's.
This also may be why, you're seeing people who have been lifelong Magic players
Move over to
to Warhammer instead of taking on Warhammer as a second hobby.
Yeah. I almost want to do another long form video about this. This would have to be probably a scripted one.
Yeah.
Like Pete and I are talking about, because there's a lot here to unpack. Right? Like, I keep thinking about board games, and I know a lot of people who are like deep into board games.
Yes.
Right? And one of the people who are deep into board games is they complain because they can't get their normie friends to play.
Yes.
And the problem is that board games have evolved to the point where it's not bloody chutes and ladders anymore.
Right. We're not playing Candyland anymore.
Okay, it's not even Monopoly.
Nope.
Right? It's complex to the point of, and again, even if the rule set is simple, because one of the things that people always say they want in board games is a simple rule set, but deep in the strategy, right? Which is what keeps people playing it.
Yes.
And I understand that, but the issue is like when I talk to people who are like deep into board games, they're like, I try to tell my friends, I'm like, here's the thing. I said, you can explain to them the rules, but you got to be. How many times have you played that board game? Oh, 7 or 8, right? You got to be 3 or 4 playthroughs through before you really understand.
Start clicking into it.
Like before you grok what's fully going on.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's the issue, I think, again, with Warhammer and Magic. I also think it's partially on us. And again, when I talk to people who know these hardcore board gamers, who are the more normie board gamer types, they're like, it's just not fun because they know all the stuff already.
Yeah.
And it's not fun for me.
Because you don't have competition at that point. You are just holding hands.
Yeah, and it's not fun.
Which, I was going to say, one of my favorite parts about my board game nights with my friends is the fact that there is usually the one friend who knows all of the intricacies, and I literally do sit down next to them and go, hold my hand. Teach me how to play this game. I'm never going to see this game ever for the rest of my life, but you need to teach me everything. And they do, happily. But that's also because they are a teaching person. They love teaching.
And so we're talking about the Star Wars TCG. I hope it's simple. Again, I've got my doubts, and we talked about this on the show last week. I've got my definite concerns about that one, but I don't know.
Hey, at least it's giving us good content fodder.
Can you scroll up? There was somebody else asked something earlier about Zelda, and I think we missed it.
Oh, yeah.
Darkson asked.
We can do this for our last.
Up a little. Yep.
No, keep going.
Oh.
There was another one. I think Ramen asked it. This one.
Oh.
Aha!
Can you grab that one for me?
Yeah.
So somebody in the
That's a
chat
good
had
one.
asked, what are your thoughts on people saying Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom aren't Zelda games because they can't change or ditch a lot of the conventions of the series? In my opinion, they're still very true to Zelda. You want to start? You were a big Breath of the Wild player, right?
Pete was.
Pete was.
I like watching people play Breath of the
Pete.
Wild. My style in Breath of the Wild is stand on tall things, throw bombs at people.
Pete, did you
So-
take away your? Did you put away your microphone?
Over here.
All right.
Do you want to yell at us?
Yeah. It's the same game with more mechanics.
But I'm saying, when you think of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, do you feel that they are not Zelda? Because I think that's what Ramen's asking is, do we think what are our thoughts on when people are saying Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom aren't Zelda because
Actually,
they change or ditch a lot of the conventions of the old series?
I do have a good answer about this too.
They're an improvement. I don't like traditional Zelda games.
Yeah,
I like these games. I don't like normal Zelda games.
I feel like these are more accessible as Zelda games.
I find them more fun.
Yeah, they're also a lot easier to jump into and a lot less overwhelming on trying to figure it out too, which is funny because there's a lot to figure out.
I don't like the puzzle in older Zelda games.
Okay. Now, when we say older, where are we at? Because the thing is to me, Zelda has gone through a series of changes. So we had the top-down style of Zelda, right? Original golden cartridge, NES, The Legend of Zelda. I don't know what that means.
He's got a sock stuck on his foot.
So there's like different eras. You've got the top-down Zelda, then you had that goofy side scroller, and we'll just pretend that never existed, right? Which was
But
What?
it was very good for the story.
The second one, like
Oh,
the old side scroller, the Nintendo number 2,
yeah.
right? Then you had the return to the top down on the Super Nintendo and things like that. And then you had the N64 era, which I would argue was the one that is the most celebrated
Yeah.
with
By folks who grew up playing it.
why can't I think of
Ocarina of
Thank
Time.
you, Ocarina of Time and that era. And you
How
had
does that go again? Okay.
then you have the kind of the GameCube era where we changed up the animation style heavily. We went a very different direction.
And then you have the Wii era with Twilight Princess.
Yep.
I've tried. I tried playing Twilight Princess in quarantine.
That's
At a
why we
certain
bought a
point,
Wii.
I got time. Like even in quarantine, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And it feels really restrictive.
Yes.
Although Twilight Princess and before, they're just slow. I don't feel like I have very much freedom.
I think that's where Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom kind of make up for it, though, because they are also slow games.
The biggest complaint I've heard about both of those is that they're empty.
It's
What?
only
They
as
feel empty.
it's only as empty as you want to make
Because
it.
it's so big and there's just not
There's a lot of running.
the density of stuff to get to.
There were not a very big variation of enemies in Breath of the Wild. There was a lot of running around, but that was the same in Twilight Princess. And if you ran in the wrong direction, you had to go around and go somewhere else to get to a specific spot. And
Which to me feels like the original Zelda game. Like I go all the way back
It's
to
very
NES,
Metroidvania.
where the original Zelda game was so big. Like I remember guys having big sheets of graph paper because this was
Because you were mapping it out.
you had to. You got to remember this is like there was no internet guides.
Right. Oh gosh, you still had to get like the cheats and codes books.
You had to get Nintendo Power magazine to get
Yeah.
the map, to get the poster version of the original map
Right.
that actually showed you where everything was. Because before that came out, literally if you got, and I'm talking again, gold cartridge,
Mhm.
it was, they were exploring and charting. And then when you would go into a dungeon, it was the same thing. And so that, again, and that game to me felt very empty because it was just a lot of like,
Go here.
watch screen shift,
Yes.
watch screen shift.
Yes.
Here's how I can concisely state it. If you went in the wrong direction in old Zelda games, it was completely almost wasted time.
Mhm.
In the new games, if you went in the wrong direction, who cares? There's still stuff to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's also, yeah, that's very true. Not only that, like what I said earlier, like it's only as empty as you make it. Ramen, I feel like the core gameplay of Zelda hasn't changed with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but it's been majorly opened up and changed to accommodate it. I feel like it's the most like the original NES game with how open-ended and non-handholdy it is.
Correct.
Yes.
But it also improves upon it, right? And gives us a better feeling mechanic system as well as a better way to travel through that world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have not.
That's kind of what I
gotten-
was. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Was like the again to me, gold cartridge was very empty. There wasn't.
Well,
And
yeah.
it was long, and it wasn't handholdy at all. You had no freaking idea what you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. So I used to play a lot of like Spyro.
Get the Triforce.
I used to play a lot of like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, which were levels that would just regenerate enemies on. But trying to play stuff like Zelda, it always felt like kind of like I was, if I wasn't going the right way and finding the enemies, which is often a very good quote for life and games in general, it did feel like I sat down to play this time in this block of time that I have that is specifically set out for games, and I didn't get anything accomplished. Which, with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, again, wherever you run, you will find something. And I do routinely run into a lot of random things, and it is one of those games that is rewarding no matter where you run. Like, I'm still on Tutorial Island. I am hunting down and finding random secret chests behind waterfalls and in hidden caves that, like, it satisfies and gives that tangible, like, you got something,
Yeah.
you have accomplished something, but it's also, like, it still leaves you wanting more. So, I don't know.
I will say I
Hollow Knight.
feel equally rewarded in exploring in the new Zelda games as I do in Red Dead.
Okay.
Okay. Address a couple of things in there. He wanted to feel like old Zelda. Yeah, and again, like, Zelda for me has always been very much a kind of a matter of taste,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Just
am
like
not.
Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts.
Bingo. It's not like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I tried both. I'm sorry, I haven't tried Tears yet, but I tried Breath of the Wild. It wasn't my cup of tea,
Right.
right?
But why do you play games?
Again, it depends on the game that I'm playing.
You play a lot of strategy.
I don't these days. Well, on tabletop I do, but not on video games.
What are you getting so that you can re-download the remastered Final Fantasy VII?
I'm not downloading remastered Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, there we go.
I have to
Yeah.
go get a new. I have to go get a new
That you have like 5 copies of.
PSP battery
Yes.
because my PSP battery died. Finally, it exploded.
So you like strategy. You play some shooter games. You play some solo.
I
like,
mostly play.
campaign games.
I mostly play single player stuff.
Yeah.
That's my style.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
So-
Grand Theft Auto, but I hated Red Dead.
Yeah, I get that. I had a very hard time getting into Red Dead. The
Red
only
Dead's one
reason
of-
why I bought it was so that I could play with Pete, and I have 2 copies of it, and I still haven't played it.
Yeah. I loved Final Fantasy 15. I like open worlds. I love Assassin's Creed games all the way
Yeah.
until we get to about Odyssey. So I love open world stuff. Love Watch Dogs. It depends on the game. Like I like Cyberpunk 2077 a lot.
Yeah, you've played that game. How many playthroughs now?
I'm 2.5 now. I'm waiting for the stinking DLC to come out with Idris Elba so I can.
Yeah,
So I can play
exactly.
the DLC.
Ooh, Idris Elba. Okay,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
He's in the new. He's going to be in the DLC. They showed him. I was like, yes, let's go.
Dude,
I'm just
Keanu
hoping it's a
Reeves
long
and
enough
Idris
DLC
Elba?
to make me not be mad about it.
So if you're not like if you're playing it for a certain vibe or you're playing it for a certain like level of escapism, right? And Zelda isn't what's scratching that itch.
Again, I'm not downing on anybody who's playing Breath of the
Oh,
Wild.
no,
Tears of the Kingdom. It's just not my cup of tea.
That's okay.
I really liked Ocarina of Time.
I am
What was the one with the moon? With his face.
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. Thank you.
That one's
Oh,
scary.
somebody brought up Metroidvanias. One of the reasons they had so much backtracking was because the games were just shorter back then.
Yes.
They
And
only had so much memory.
And they literally were doing it to extend the length
Yep.
of the game itself because they wanted you to get more value out of it. And at the time, it was very kind of the thing. You know, I have friends who loved Castlevania, the
Yeah.
original Castlevanias.
I don't know. Like you
Metroid, again, has never been my cup of tea. Super cup of tea. Not my thing.
I will say, as somebody who basically borked my save file in Breath of the Wild because I
no.
very stubbornly climbed up a mountain without any warm weather gear and got stuck in a cavern after like it was a good 50 hours
That will-
in, right?
That will make me ditch a video game so fast.
Getting
I don't
stuck.
want to go back. Huh?
Getting stuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you
mean-
mechanically don't have a way to at least get back out of any of those areas,
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
It was legitimately my own stupidity, and we've already talked about like how I completely glitched out my 80-hour gameplay save file on Cyberpunk.
That's Nintendo's fault.
Nintendo
No.
didn't do that to Cyberpunk.
No, I'm saying that the Breath of the Wild one, that's Nintendo's fault. If you get to a situation where you require some piece of equipment or something like that and cannot leave that area, that to me is a publisher problem.
So yeah, whatever. Like I did that. I haven't gone back to the game for Breath of the Wild, and that's fine because like they're games that are made to play however much or how little that you want. That is why you have the variations of people making Long Bridge in Tears of the Kingdom versus making a fully functional mecha with which is so flipping cool. Or even just putting Koroks on a rotating rotisserie spit. Like, which, that's pretty twisted, guys. What are you doing?
Somebody's already speedrun the game and
Yeah.
beat it in an hour and a half, so That's amazing to me.
So I do think that, like, I think they're doing exactly what they wanted to with this game. I think they're accomplishing it, and I am really excited to see, like, the innovations that come out of it. And I also do think that the more ability that games give for players to be, like, to try out different things and to just simply mess around, you know, and make giant statues with flamethrowers in places they shouldn't be, the more we're going to see, you know, good things come out of games.
Now you're making me want to play Tears of the Kingdom because of all the I've seen
The
all the
shenanigans?
stuff, the things that you can build.
Legitimately, yes. That is
Yep.
one of the the reason why I honestly am running around with a pack right now where I have a weapon with a rock. Every single one of my weapons have rocks on them. So now I have just big hammers, and it makes me so happy because, again, I like big hammers in games.
There we go.
So
All right, that's our show today. We'll be back with some gameplay stream tomorrow. I will talk to Pete later today. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll announce it in the Discord. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
come
we'll be
check us
back
out.
Wednesday for the Super Show. So let us know what you want to talk about.
Again, Monday night, trivia night. Come check us out for that. That is at 7 p.m. We have a mystery boba that will give you extra points. And again, if you do play Magic and you want to go and build decks, whether it be Pauper Pioneer, Standard, CEDH, whatever you want to do, we do have quite a few cards that you can go through. We'll be getting that up online and ready to go. Tonight is our kind of check and see how it goes.
Yep.
So you guys are going to help us refine that system. We're very excited to work with you. And
Come hang
then
out.
if you do want to just check out our live event schedule, we have quite a bit coming up. Gamers7pnw.com is where you can see those. I will be having our events in a more static place on our Facebook as well, so that you can make sure that you have that time and mark it on your calendars.
The new calendar on the website looks beautiful.
Yes, it does.
And to the person asking in the chat, yes, we do have a Discord. You can also find that at gamers7pnw.com. There's a link
Yes.
you can just click, and it'll bring you right
Yes.
to our Discord.
And we just applied for Discord partnership, so stay tuned for that. I'll be announcing whether or not we got that and the perks that come from that shortly. It's about 30-day wait. Yeah, come check us out. And we also have merch.
All right.
So,
Bye!
bye! Be kind to yourselves and others. Drink lots of water.
I
Appreciate
drank like
you guys.
5 bottles on Saturday. It was ridiculous.
It's needed.
Yeah, I would have died at that. So, like,
Oh, yeah.
if I hadn't drank water.
Oh, yeah.